protests erupted at Claremont McKenna College in Southern California, blocking students and faculty from attending my next guest's scheduled speech at the school. With me now, author of The War on Cops, How the New Attack on Law and Order Makes Everyone Less Safe. Look who's here, Heather McDonald. Tell us what happened here.
Well, there was a Facebook organizing movement before I was coming to try and shut me down. They called me a white supremacist fascist, and it worked. They managed, the protesters, they numbered about 300, managed to form a blockade around the building where I was supposed to speak about the phony Black Lives Matter narrative, and they prevented their fellow students from entering in order to interact with me. I was going to meet with students beforehand and have dinner and then give a lecture. I then was live streaming my talk to an empty hall, except for the police officers who were nervously watching the students outside, who were banging their fists against the plate glass windows and shouting. And eventually they decided they couldn't guarantee my safety, and I was hustled out and put into a police van and taken immediately to the Claremont Police Department.
But Heather, you know, the students couldn't get your point of view of why Black Lives Matter is phony, as you point out, which is what?
Well, they couldn't in person if they watched live streaming, but what they heard me say there and could have asked me about in person was the claim that the Black Lives Matter narrative that we're living through an epidemic of racially biased police shootings of blacks is false. Everything the public thinks it knows about policing crime and race from Black Lives Matter is completely 100% wrong, and there is enormous support for the police in high-crime minority neighborhoods. People are desperate for more police protection. They want order on the streets. The typical response is something I heard from a cancer amputee in the Mount Hope section of the Bronx who said, "Please, Jesus, send more police."
You know, Heather, here's a poster from the protest organizers. Unfortunately, it shows you with red horns. It reads, quote, "Shut down anti-black fascist." Heather McDonald, I mean, did any academic step out to defend you? And look at this poster. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, you know, everybody uses hyperbole. This is sort of caricature. I'm not going to be hoity-toity and object to it, but it's preposterous. It's absolutely preposterous. Again, none of these kids have had a drive-by shooting in their family, my guess is. And if they did, you know what they'd do? They'd call the police. And the second thing they would do is say, why was that thug still on the streets and not in prison? Which is the other problem. We have allegedly mass incarceration. False again. Prison remains a Lifetime Achievement Award for persistence in criminal offending. But there were no faculty there. The head of the institute that invited me a day before my speech did say he expected civility, and he tried, to his credit, to give a neutral description of my views.
So you had a problem with UCLA. Also, there's been protests at Berkeley, at NYU. What's going on college campuses with students?
This is a specific ideology of victimology. Students are being taught that they are victims in an oppressive society. They're oppressed at Yale. They're oppressed at NYU. Give me a break. This is the most privileged position. But that victimology ideology results in the idea that they have a right to shut down speech that they believe is literally violence against them.
But the parents want that credential no matter what's being taught to them, right?
Absolutely. They couldn't care less what the content is.
Heather McDonald, come back soon. We love having you on.
Thank you.